Hello everyone. In this video, I am going to show you how to create user data entry form in Excel, using Excel VBA. In this data entry form including add, update and delete which help you to easily manage your data. First of all, open an Excel workbook and save it as Excel binary workbook, because this file type is significantly smaller than normal Excel file. In Developer tab, choose Visual Basic. In Visual Basic for Applications, click on Insert tab and choose User Form. Select the user form, then go to Properties to edit the user form caption. First, I rename my caption to Data Entry Form and name User Form as my form. Then, resize the form. In this case, I put height to 440 and weight to 495. This size is big enough to add user input and a list box. Change form's background color. Go to Toolbox and add a frame. Add caption to the frame. In Toolbox, click on Label to add into the frame. Rename label's caption. Change font and font size. Change weight and height. Then copy and paste the label. Then start changing the label to the difference caption as you need. Insert a combo box for title. Insert text box for name, email, and phone number. Then insert command buttons for clear, add, update, delete, and save. You can now run a form test to show what it looks like. Set label alignment to center. Then insert a list box below the frame to show all the records. Now let's add items to the combo box. So double-click on the user form to open the coding area in the user form object. Now, on the left drop-down menu select user form, then from the right drop-down select activate. Then write some code to add items to combo box. The first line is clear, the second line is empty item, means your own choice, and next line add the items. Now, run the form to test. The items look a bit smaller so that we can change the font size. Now, let's program the clear button to erase all the text boxes when the user clicks it. Double-click to display the code. Empty the combo box 1, as well as text box 1, 2, and 3. Click the green button to run the form. Now, let's program the Save button to allow the user to save the changes to the workbook. The MSG box function displays the dialog box to inform the user that the registration is successful. Now, add a new sheet to the workbook. In this sheet, we will store the data received from the form. Add the header rows. ID is a registration identifier. Title, name, email, and phone are the field to receive data from the text field in the form. Update time is to save the time of each recording. Now, we want to show the data in the list box. Double-click on User Form. Then write the Refresh Data subprocedure. Declare Worksheet variable. Assign data sheet variable. Rename worksheet to data. Now declare last row variable as long. This variable will contain number of the last non-empty line. Use with and with structure, make it easier to modify property in the list box object. Column head equal true to specify that your table has header. The number of columns in the list box is 6. You can define columns width of the list box. Finally, use row source to populate the list box. Now, call the refresh data function in the subuser form to activate function. Let's test the code. The data is well displayed. But we want to remove the name of the columns. Let's go back to the code and replace A1 with A2. It's always the same result, but whenever you insert a record to the table, the column's header will no longer display. We have two cases to deal with depending on the value of last row. If last row equal 1, then the value range start from A2 to F2. Else, A2 to F and last row. Now, let's program the add button which allow user to add the records. Start with this code which allow you to assign the worksheet variable and the not empty last row variable. Copy it and paste into add button code block. Then, perform data check. If a field is empty, the form should not be sent, and an error message should display where the value is missing. Here, the drop-down list must not be empty. Let's test the code. Do the same for other fields, name, email and phone number by just copy and paste. So, now let's code for the first field, ID. Now, we're going to fill the cell in column B, C, D, and column E. In Update Time field, insert the date and time of the recordings. To do this, use Microsoft Excel Now function, which return the current date and time. After all, empty the fields after saving. And call the refresh data procedure to update the content of the list box. Let's test the code of the Add button. Oops, I made a mistake in my code. I forgot to change the column name to F. Let's test again. It seems to be working really well. Now, we want when double-click on the record in the list box, the input field, fill with the data from that record. Double-click on list box to show the code. From the procedure list box, choose the DBL click event. We delete the click event because we don't need it. We start with transmitting the title to the combo box from the list box. It's going to be the same code to transmit the name, email, and phone number to the corresponding text boxes, just change the object and the column number. Here is the result. To delete or update a record, we need a number, which is the ID column. For that, we add a text box to the interface which saves the ID each time we double-click on the record in the list box. The text box will be invisible. Double-click on list box to open the code. The code is the same, so just copy this line of code and paste, and put text box 4 as the object name and 0 as the column number. Double-click on a record in list box, and you know that a number display in the text box 4. Now, let's program the Update button. Double-click on Update button to open the code. Before update the data, user must select the record concerned. To do this, add a condition that check the text box 4 is not empty. If so, a message display telling user to select the record. For the rest of the code, for the Update button, it will be the same as the code in Add button. Copy and paste. We create a new variable name, selected row. We don't need the last row variable here. We use the match function to find the ID in column A. Change last row +1 to selected row. Remove the first line. Once the update is carried out, we empty all the input field including text box 4. Let's test the code. When you run this code, it will show an error. Because column A contain numeric value, while lookup value is typed as text. So, use the CLNG to convert this text to a long data type. Now, test the code again. Here we choose to modify the name of the first recording. Now, program the delete button which allow user to delete the recording. Double-click on the delete button to open the code. We will copy some of the code from the update button. Then paste it in the delete button code block. This code is to make sure that the user double-click on the recording. Write the code to delete the entire row. Then, call the refresh data function. Let's run this code. Here, user have to double-click on the recording to delete. The recording is deleted, but we must empty all the input fields. Now, hide this text box. To do this, open the properties of the text box 4. Then, look for the visible property and set it to false. We also want to hide the datasheet. Right-click and choose Hide. Finally, add a command button which to open the form. Select the command, then choose Properties to change back color, font size, and add caption. Double-click on the button to display the code. Use the user form show method to display the user form on the screen. Close the design mode. Click on the button to run the user form. Now, you can add, update, and delete the recordings easily. Thanks for watching. Please click subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications.